No, I'm good. Just one sec. I'll just get this done. Now, if you get yourself a new aquarium and you find yourself a little bit confused, or you do get off to a bumpy start, if you're privileged enough to live in Sydney, you can contact us here at Majestic Aquariums and we'll send this really good looking bloke out that will help you out and get you back on track. So we have a consultation service. Not only will we come and entertain you and teach you about your fish, we'll then make a video, well, if it's this good looking guy anyway, make a video for you on all about your aquarium, what to do and what not to do. And that will just give me an opportunity to hear the sound of my own voice and give myself a reason to look at myself. Now, one thing I do recommend is if you shoot us an email, paul@majesticaquariums.com.au, and ask for our hints email. We have one for ponds, one for saltwater aquariums, and one for freshwater aquariums. What that will have is the DVD. Now, if you go on our YouTube channel, Majestic Aquariums TV, and just write DVD, you will be able to watch the aquarium and pond DVD, you'll be able to watch the saltwater DVD, the reef aquarium DVD, the cichlid aquarium DVD, the tropical DVD, from back in the days when DVD was a thing, when I used to be able to sell you DVDs. Now it's bloody YouTube and everything's free. So you can go on and watch those DVDs for free. And in the hints email, it will also have a video for lighting, a video for filters, a video for everything you need to know. So you can wade through that. Feel free to ask me questions, particularly if you are in Australia. But once again, check the channel out, Majestic Aquariums TV, subscribe to the channel, and in the search bar of the channel, if you want to learn about angelfish, just write angelfish and all these videos will come up talking about angelfish. If you want to learn about plants, if you want to learn about driftwood, if you want to learn about neon tetras, make sure you use the channel, use the search bar. There is about 10,000 videos there for you to watch. No wonder I love the sound of my own voice. Now, as far as plants are concerned, it's really important to understand that some plants are very easy to look after and some plants are very hard to look after. And also be aware that some plants are terrestrial. So a lot of these species of plants actually don't do well underwater. So you can buy them at some aquarium shops. They're great for goldfish. The goldfish eat them, but over a period they do die off. So you want to start with full aquatic plants. That's the first tip. Then the plants have got 3 basic minimum requirements. Number 1 is they need the correct light. Number 2, and they need the correct period of light. So generally 6 to 8 hours is enough light for your aquarium. It's good to put the light on a timer so you don't go silly with the algae or too much light. So light's number 1 factor. Some plants require a lot of light, some plants don't require as much light. The next factor is fertilizer. So if over time you find your leaves going yellow, that could indicate that you don't have enough iron and various fertilizers. There's various tabs that you can put in the gravel to release iron into the water. And there's various fertilizers you can add. If the plants are falling apart, like these ones are, it might mean that they're either not full aquatic plants, like these ones, or it might mean that your lights are inadequate. So lighting is a factor. Then fertilization is a factor, and that's if it goes yellow. And then if you get this brown, black algae growing all over the plants, that would often mean that CO2 is an issue. So there is organic CO2 products available like Carbomax. So if your plants are growing and thriving, it's great. If your plants are not growing and thriving, they're either falling apart because the light's wrong or they're not aquatic plants. They're going yellow because there's not enough fertilizer. They're getting algae growing all over them because the CO2 is wrong. So basically how well the plants grow is governed by the basic minimum requirement. If you get the minimum bit right, then they grow. If one of the links in the chain are missing, your plants die. So the other thing is if you go and get 5 varieties of plant, it's exactly like if you go to Flower Power and throw some plants in your backyard. Some of them might grow like a weed, some of them might grow okay, and some of them might die in exactly the same condition. So that's the same with aquarium plants. So the hardiest and easiest plants to keep tend to be things like rock fern, and Anubias. So they're really good, easy, low light beginner plants. And then other plants can be very difficult, like a lot of these hair grasses and stuff. They're very hard to look after. So if you go buying them and they don't live, then just welcome to life. Fake plants are a great option because fake plants don't tend to die. And if over time your fake plants are looking a bit how you're going, because they've got crap growing all over them, it's good to just get your plant, throw it out in the sun for a day, then hit it with a hose, then flip it over, leave it in the sun for a day, hit it with a hose, and generally good as new. They usually sun bleach very well. But if you leave it out there for 4 weeks, you'll sun bleach it and it'll look like crap. But the sun is a great way of cleaning any of your ornaments, including your rocks. Now, the other thing to be aware of is driftwood. Now, driftwood will discolor water. If you're lucky, not very much. If you're unlucky, your tank will end up looking like tea. Now, if that happens, it's not bad. It just looks crap. So if you get frustrated because your water's not clear, then you can put a bit of carbon in your filter, and then that will usually clean up the driftwood tannin. And that driftwood tannin may or may not ever stop. Some driftwood just seems to never stop, and some driftwood, after a while, it just seems to stop. As far as the water quality is concerned in this tank, the ammonia is basically 0. The nitrite is basically 0. The pH is a little bit acidic, which is not good. The KH is 0. And the GH is 0. Now, the problem with a 0 KH is that carbonate is very important for all biological activity. So if you have a 0 KH, your bacteria is likely to be inefficient. And if your bacteria is inefficient, your water is going to be cloudy and the whole system is not going to run properly. So you must be aware of pH and KH, and this depends where you live. So some areas have no concern at all about this, but you want to be aware of your pH and KH and make sure that your pH, KH, and GH are correct. And if you just grab a sample of your water, bring it down to Majestic Aquariums, let us check on it, bring a little video of the setup, and we can point you in the right direction. Now, when a fish is stressed, the other fish will often attack and kill that fish. Because what they don't want is that fish to get sick, to get a disease, and pass the disease on to them. So fish, birds, and almost every animal on the planet except for humans tend to kill their sick. And they do that for their own evolutionary advantage. So if you have fish that are sick, you may not know they're sick. You can only tell when they're about to die. So they have a much better understanding of each other. And if you see a fish get picked on, sometimes the fish is getting picked on because it's stressed or it's sick, regardless of your opinion. The other thing is that KH, carbonate hardness, is an essential element to all biological processes, including the fish. If your KH is 0, commonly fish that would not normally attack each other will attack each other. So a fish will attack another fish that would not normally attack another fish if that fish is stressed and he thinks it might get sick and he thinks that might be contagious to it. And if the KH level is 0, often the fish will attack the other fish in order to try and ingest fins or scales which may deliver it some carbonate. So if your water quality is right and you have a good, busy, populated, healthy tank, your fish tend to be less aggressive. If you have exactly those same fish and your KH level is 0, they might attack each other. Or if your water quality is not good or your fish are stressed, they might attack each other. The other thing is if you don't have many fish, they might attack each other. Fish are more aggressive when there's not many fish. When there's more fish, the fish feels safer. When there's less fish, they feel vulnerable because they wonder where everybody else is, and they tend to be more territorial and more aggressive. The other thing is that when you put a fish into an aquarium, if the conditions are not ideal, over time, as in weeks, the immune system of the fish will deteriorate until eventually the fish gets sick or dies. So therefore, you can have a situation in an aquarium where some of the fish start dying quite quickly, but then the other fish can take weeks or even months to die, and that depends on the immune system of the fish. It takes a while for the immune system to get compromised, and then it takes a while for the immune system to get low enough to actually allow the fish to get sick, because the immune system should be looking after the fish. And that's why some people will say, oh, my fish are dying this week, but those ones are fine. It doesn't mean those ones are fine. It just means that those ones are hardy enough and have a good enough immune system at this point. And while it takes time for the immune system to deteriorate, it also takes time for it to come back. So once you fix the problem, you need to give it time for the bacteria for the immune system to re-establish. Several weeks at least. So you fix your problem, and your problem isn't fixed actually for several weeks. He's very handsome.